one of those Spurs nights where I wanted to turn the TV off after the run that the Spurs, it was like even at like 59 all. It looked like it was going to be a good game. Started fast, things got a little weird, but even Steven. And then Orlando rips off about 20 straight, and it looked like all was done.
17.
So,
I
don't want to
that bad.
I'm just saying, it just felt like what just happened. I mean, it was a little slip here, a little thing there. Wemby sits down. Orlando, by the way, huge basketball team. Just ran away from us, but to their credit, RJ, they did turn it around and played some pretty good basketball.
So I don't know that I can completely agree with that. I mean, it felt a little bit like empty calories. You know what I mean? Like you could, I guess, define it as good basketball. Maybe I'm just sour. Maybe I'm still upset about the Washington loss on Monday. But I mean, it's a different kind of game when you're down that big. And I will give them, I guess, the bare minimum credit for narrowing it and making it close. But for what? Just to blow it again? You know what I mean? It was. I think this is a fun game. Just kind of start playing. I've been dancing around this. What do you think was the last point in the game? So this is a new thing, that we'll do for every silver and black coming off of a game. What do you, assuming it's a loss, what do you think was the last moment in the game where the Spurs had a positive win probability? So north of 50%.
Oh, I'm trying to, like, within the last 5 minutes or so is where you're getting at. Like when it was, I don't know, about 5 minutes to go, it felt still like there was a shot.
You are way off.
Am I really?
The last time that the Spurs had a positive win probability was with 9 minutes and 43 seconds left in the first half. Second quarter.
They got it
the last
down.
Time.
They were within 3 with 4 minutes to go.
Even when they were within 3. So there was
I know there was weird. You're right.
There were 3 minutes and 27 seconds left in the game, and they were down by 3. At that moment, 99-96 Orlando, the Magic had a 78.4% win probability. Even at that moment. So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of hard to feel like they really narrowed it.
Well, yeah, but the scoreboard told me, and the effort showed a team in Orlando that tried a lot of different things in this about 8-minute span, that the Spurs were capable of, 1, holding on to the ball, 2, making timely shots, finding the appropriate guy. We are the worst alley-oop team in the world. And the sad thing about it is,
with a 100-foot tall human being.
I mean, we're trying, and some of them are moderately successful, but my goodness, we are clunky. And then we got eaten alive on the backdoor cuts last night. Just eaten alive. Greg Popovich talked about it yesterday. Post game, he's talking about, this is a team that we're just not good enough to go one-on-one. This is it.
Their defense put us in a hole. They really picked up their defense there in the third quarter. And, that's always, when it gets real physical like that, it's a little bit of a problem for us. And as you say, until we adjusted to it and understood that that's what was happening and we couldn't stand in cement, that we had to move the ball better. But we have a tendency when we get down that it's not a selfish thing, but it's just an unwise thing where we're going to do it on our own. And we're not built like that right now. We've got to do it together. But we'll forget that because people try too hard to do it on their own.
I think the question was regarding Keldon about his effort level. Did he or Jeremy? Do you feel like he tried so hard that he was making mistakes? He said, one of our problems, like he just said there. Now, I don't know how you want to define it. And it's all relative, of course.
Define the effort or define
what selfish means. Because you could define it like Coach Pop defines it, like, hey, man, I get it. Every one of you guys wants to win so bad that you're willing to go do it. You want to go do it yourself. That's your mentality. I want you to do that. But the fact remains, you're not good enough to do it that way. And I think he was telling them that. Like, you know what? We have a tendency to over-try because we think we're good enough individually. And I'm talking to you, Keldon. I'm talking to you, Devin. That you think you're good enough, and you're not. At least not yet. Good enough to go do that. And I think they paid the price for that last night. Pop hit it right on the head because they're not good enough. But what they were good, when they were working together for that 18-minute run. It was the kind of thing, as a Spurs fan who sits generally upset with his arms crossed, watching defensive mistake after mistake, really go, you know what? When they're dialed in, I can see what Pop and the coaching staff see every now and again, where you go, holy cow, there's something here if we can just figure out how to keep it, how to maintain this. And it's just been, they just can't hold on to whatever that little thing is for very long. And they couldn't last night either.
I take the selfishness to be more of individual tunnel vision. Not in a I'm focused on my own production, my own stats, my own whatever, but in a I'm just,
A little bit more selfish vein.
But this is all
because I do too.
I think that's how all anyone kind of knows what to do right now, is just go out and be a great athlete, because the cohesion is really lacking. I mean, last night is another example of something we've been talking about. Why is Wemby playing 30 minutes and only putting up 15 shots?
We are the worst passing team. Although, did we keep our streak alive?
Oh, that's a great question.
We are digging for it right now. Yes, we did.
24 assists. So I think we're at 106.
The most useless stat in all of sports.
106 straight games, consecutive games with 20 or more assists. The all-time record is well within sight. 14 games, 15 away from having the outright record ourselves. We need to get like a banner made.
I think so. We need to start hanging some sort of 20 banner.
Well, and then they'll pick it up for the rodeo road trip. You know what I mean? That's what they do with the banners. But then they'll drop it after.
I think they should be color coded for wins and losses, so we really get the importance of this stat, because it does indeed have absolutely no value at all in the grand scheme of things, because they lose most of these games. I want to talk about something real quick before it slips my mind. As we were talking about the effort required and the question regarding trying too hard. Jeremey Sochan had a heck of a game. I mean, he's starting to do things that, he was doing last year that got him invited to the All-Star weekend. Well, this week, they've been announcing different things, and Wemby has been invited to a couple. Jeremy was not invited back for that international yada yada game that he got to play in last year. Was invited back. Pop in post-game or pre-game, well, I forget where it was asked about it. And, he went on about it. If we have the sound about Sochan, do we have the sound?
It was Wemby.
Oh, no, I'm talking about something else. So Pop came out and kind of defended his guy. Like, hey, I don't know who's making the decision, but Jeremy is really playing well. He doesn't normally do that. And you know why he did it? In my mind, I believe in his heart of hearts, he realized he did his player a disservice. He put Jeremy in a situation that he could not be successful in. There was a lot of hope. There was a lot of attempt, but he put him in a situation that just flopped. So while we appreciate the effort, the output wasn't so good. The perception amongst many, and me included, was, gosh, Jeremy was an utter failure. Well, not really. He was an utter failure at point guard, but the guy still got the qualities that he had when he was drafted, and is exhibiting that once he was freed from the responsibility, the yoke of being the quarterback, and suddenly the guy's a player, and that was directly because of what Pop did. That's the only reason he's not there, and I think Pop feels bad about that.
It was the Rising Stars challenge, that Jeremy was snubbed out of. Just to be very clear, I suppose. I mean, good for Pop, I guess, having his dudes back. And I don't want to.
No, I think he feels bad about
a
it.
wet blanket around this, but I mean, it's hard to. Jeremy's played really well for the last week, right? Like he's played moderately well. That kind of had you feeling like, okay, yeah, there he is, for the last week. But it's been so inconsistent.
Well, exactly, because he's been put in playing a position at point guard where, I mean, he's never done it, ever. I mean, it's a ridiculous ask, and then to do it at the highest level. I mean, we could put it at the F1s. That's like asking one of you or me. Guess what? You're going to be the lead driver for a car. What?
Of faith in you or I.
Wow. Well, I'm just saying that the water that he was thrown into without being able to swim was pretty deep. And while it was an abject failure, it should reflect more on his coach than him. Because the moment that he was put in the position to be just the glue guy, the guy that will take up the slack, the guy that'll get the rebound, the guy that'll start everything that he's capable of. Suddenly we saw exactly why he was drafted. So he stunted a bit of growth. I'm talking about Pop by not putting him where he should be. And he put him in a situation where the rest of the country looks at him like, wow, what an abject failure. That guy can't play point guard. Well, no, he never could. Why should he be judged on the decision of his coach? Kind of like what Micah is talking about with his.
Oh, no, that's the complete and total opposite.
Oh.
Micah's being put in a position to thrive and to have success, and in a position where he is very good at that. To put him somewhere else would be, I mean, I guess what you're saying would work if Micah was put at linebacker.
Probably, or at safety. And you know what? You at safety was awful. Well, yes. I've never been a safety.
I can't
You're asking me to
didn't
do
make
that.
the Pro Bowl at safety. Yeah.
So I feel bad for Jeremy, and I do think Pop in his heart of hearts is kind of like, dude, I did this guy a disservice. I probably, while it was for the betterment of the team, and there's nobody gonna argue that as a whole, Jeremy Sochan is not a better basketball player for the experience. He is, but it was just on a team as a team, and as if wins are your only concern, which I would like it to be. It was an abject failure. It just didn't work. The numbers proved it every time they were out.
He was great last night. I mean,
was.
one of two Spurs with a positive plus minus, although it was +1. So I mean, we're talking, you're north of that line, but barely so.
For the congratulations of a tough loss, man. We knew it was going to be hard. Orlando. Post game,
this is a tough loss. Like I view
they're a good team. They're a really good team.
It's a really easy loss in that sense. It's really like, oh, they lost to a good team. They let a good team go on a 17-0 run. Yeah, they had a cute little 21-2 run themselves, but it really didn't matter. And it really ultimately was meaningless, as evidenced by the fact that it didn't even net them close to a positive win. Think about that for a second. They got within 3 points with under 3.5 minutes left, and mathematical win probability suggests that they didn't have anywhere higher than, that Orlando still had over a 75% chance.
I don't get that.
That's crazy.
I don't get that, because my sense was it was going to be hard, but I live by the premise, and always have been, that if you have a lead of 10 points at 2 minutes and it gets any smaller than that, or you lose, it is your fault. Whatever happened, if you lose a lead of 10 points within 2 minutes, it's your fault as a coach. You did it to yourself. I don't know how you don't get it.
And literally
in the game, and it felt like there's still no. I'm not saying that it was impossible, but I didn't feel like, as I was watching with 3 minutes to go, that with 3 minutes down, that there's a 70% chance that Orlando was going to win. You look at the Orlando faces and watch the way they coached. They still were genuinely concerned. Now, the tough news about that was the Spurs helped that along. They were missing free throws, and they did some stupid things, but so was Orlando. So I still felt like there was a chance. And I joked saying, as they went to break right then, and they did, I felt like I should turn the TV off right now.
This is crazy to look at a little bit more in detail. 2:55 to go. It's still a 3-point game. Right after a Paolo rebound, Orlando had an 80.4% chance of winning the game.
I just didn't get that sense. I just didn't feel like this all is lost. I really felt like given that, there's still a chance. Now, it didn't work out that way. In fact, it stretched the other direction, but it was, at least in my mind.
I know you're talking about like the vibe.
Yeah.
Vibes.
All I can do is get the sense of the game. And there was people in it that felt it wasn't playoff caliber intensity, but there was a fair amount.
I recognize the game also had massive swings. So looking at the kind of overall team statistics from the night is a little bit irresponsible in that sense. But it is easy to understand when you look at, Orlando led in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. They had fewer turnovers. They had more rebounds. Like, they checked every box. But again, to your point, at that moment, the Spurs were a little hot. But it's amazing how even all the heat they had going for them in a 21-2 run couldn't drop Orlando below an 80% win.
I know.
That's crazy.
And the fact, while I can argue that it didn't feel that way, the numbers bore it out. Not only did they not have a chance of catching up, the lead stretched just because of the timing and the timeouts that were available to Orlando. That Pop had already used.
I agree with Cougs, by the way. I said in the
he
chat,
knows
I'm
basketball.
tired of the team forgetting how to play basketball for 5 minutes a game. That's it. Like it's they just like it's not even a brain fart. It's like they have brain diarrhea for 5 minutes, and it's just at that point it's irrecoverable. You know what I mean? their pants are soiled and they got to go home and change. You know?
That's
we've all been there.
Well, some of us more than others, but that's the difference of it with a team that's full of a bunch of young guys and a team with veterans that understand that the margin of victory, no matter who you are, is much thinner than 5 minutes. And if you lose focus for a total of 48 minutes and 5 of those minutes you've lost focus, you're going to lose 99% of those games. I don't care who you are. You cannot ever let up. And the difference between rookies and veterans is that premise alone. And it's hard to get unless you've been there. You don't know what 100% effort all the time is until you get there. And no matter how hard you try, if you haven't gotten there, you still think you've done enough and you haven't.
So shoot your shot, or really more call your shot. Oh, trade deadline's a week from today. Happy early birthday to Edwin, of course. And Spurs making a move. Any move of any kind.
Yes, they're going to make a move.
Okay,
Yeah.
So the 2-part question. You've passed the first part. Congratulations.
Mhm.
Second part, on the splash scale. Okay, with 10 being sitting in the front row of SeaWorld, you're soaking wet after all the shows. 1 being the Sahara Desert in terms of dryness.
Well, there's a couple things in play.
Where will it grade out?
Well, it's starting to get a little weird around the league. The Lakers are kind of falling apart and wondering who the heck they are. The
Embiid's falling
76ers
apart.
are collapsing. They've lost 5 straight, and they're trying to figure out who they are. They've watched Milwaukee make moves. Well, they watched Miami, which is the closest competitor to Philly right now, make a move. Miami might make another move with Butler, so I think there's another one out there. I think there's a crazy move about to happen. I'm not sure where. And I do think the Spurs are going to have a role in this. So do I think there'll be a splash? Possibly, though doubtful. Is that a
grade the potential splash 0 to 10?
I give it a high end. There could be something crazy like a 10. There could be a Trey move out there. Don't discount the fact that I'm just saying could be. It just feels a little strange right now because a lot of these good teams are being left behind by the 3 greats or the 2 greats, and I think there's some need to kind of recalibrate, and especially on the Western side. I think there's some moves to be made. I'm going to say a 6. A 6 will be a 6. A player of note will land with the Spurs.